Hey everyone, welcome to our full product review for the ASUS G752VS. To start things off, we need to go over the specs of the device. We'll kick it off with the CPU. That is the Intel i7-6820HK, which is overclockable, as you know. We have the GPU, which is an NVIDIA GTX 1070 with 8GB of DDR5 RAM. The memory inside is 32GB of DDR4 at 2400 MHz. Storage inside is a 256GB M.2 NVMe SSD, and there is also a 1TB 7200 RPM hard disk drive. There also is another open M.2 slot. You can add more to this as well in case you want to add more storage. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth inside is built-in gigabit Ethernet LAN with integrated 802.11a, AC, B, G, and N, and Bluetooth 4.1. Powering the device is an 8-cell smart lithium-ion battery pack with 64 watt-hours with a 230-watt AC adapter. And there is a built-in HD webcam above the 17.3-inch FHD matte screen at the resolution rate of 1920 by 1080 with G-Sync. On the left-hand side of the device is a Kensington lock, 2 USB 3.0 ports, an 8x DVD-RW, CD-RW multi-combo drive, and a 2-in-1 card reader. On the right-hand side, there's a headphone and microphone ports, 1 USB 3.1 Type-C Gen 2 port with Thunderbolt connection, 2 USB 3.0 ports, mini display port, HDMI port, RJ45 Ethernet jack, and the AC power adapter port. The full keyboard has adjustable backlighting and a standard full keyboard layout with full-sized arrow keys. There are also a few programmable buttons to the top left of the keyboard as well. The keys while typing feel pretty good, but there's a tiny bit of flex under normal typing pressure, but nothing extreme. The trackpad is fairly large, which is nice to see, and the left and right click buttons are separate from the touchpad down below, which is a nice feature personally because I like the convenience of having dedicated buttons so you get your clicks exactly right. The screen angle opens up to an acceptable 140 degrees and is very sturdy on its strong hinge, and also has pretty good viewing angles from most directions. Included in the box with the ASUS G752VS is a user guide and warranty information, a couple of cable tie-downs, and the included power cables. Doing our simple battery tests with the screen brightness set to around 50%, and the battery saver mode on, you can expect around 4 hours of use time while running basic tasks, which is pretty good. The weight of the laptop is 9.9 pounds. If you team it up with the power brick and cables on the go, the weight would be right at 12 pounds. As for our decibel test to catch the noise of the device while under gaming loads, we first started out with in front of the laptop where you'd sit to game and had readings of 41 decibels. Up in front of the laptop, up close, we had readings of 48 decibels. And then finally at the back side of the laptop where the fans exhaust their heat, we had readings of 62 decibels, which is actually fairly quiet for a pretty powerful machine. As for heat and where it builds up also while under gaming loads, and actually specifically during our benchmarks, you can see that there's heat in the middle of the device, but actually nothing too high, and the rest of it's fairly cool to the touch, which is nice. And then coming around to the backside, you can see the very two distinct vents where the CPU and GPU displace their heat, and as much as these are a little bit warmer, it does displace the heat away from the user. Throwing things over to our benchmarks, we started things off with Firestrike, which scored 11,262, which is better than 77% of all devices that have ran this test, which is a good result. As for Cinebench, we ran OpenGL first and scored 113 FPS, and then CB for the CPU was 780. You can see how it compares on the left-hand side of the screen. Next, we ran Crystal Disk to check the speeds of the drives. First with the solid-state drive, it had a read speed of 1,636 and a write speed of 972, which is good. It means it's a quick M.2. And then the hard disk drive read at 104.7 and wrote at 106.6, which is pretty standard for a hard disk drive. Moving on to our real-world test, we started it out with Gears of War 4. We tested on medium, high, and on ultra with FPS values of 103, 100, and 96. The GPU's temperature was at 79 degrees Celsius and the CPU was at 83 degrees Celsius. Our second test was with Grand Theft Auto 5. We ran it maxed out with no MSAA first with 94 FPS. Next, we did it with the advanced settings turned on and averaged 65 FPS. And then finally, we turned the advanced settings off, but then turned MSAA on at ×4 and averaged 84 FPS. The temperatures of the GPU were at 79 degrees Celsius and the CPU was at 82. Our third test is Rise of the Tomb Raider. We ran it on very high with FXAA, SMAA, and SSAA at ×2. We got 92, 85, and 70 FPS. The temperatures for the GPU and CPU were 79 degrees and 82. And for our final test, we ran Dirt Rally on Ultra with MSAA at ×2, 4, and 8. We averaged 117 FPS, 110, and 104. The GPU's temperature was at 78 degrees and the CPU was at 83 degrees Celsius. If you're looking to put a personal touch on your machine, be sure to check out our extensive customization options before checkout, including upgrades available to RAM, storage, cooling, overclocking, custom paint, hydro and graphic wraps, laser etching, and much, much more. If you'd like to take a closer look at any of the specific BIOS menu screens, make sure that you do so here and pause the video on the ones you'd like to see closer. If not, be sure to check out the product link in the description and leave us any comments down below if you have questions for us here at Exotic PC. I've been Andrew, saying thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe for future product overviews and reviews.